Hi again, everybody. It's Ezra from Summerhill.
I'm Michael from Summerhill.
And today we're tasting a very special wine.
We are our 2000 Cipes Ariel.
This one is a wine I'm actually extremely proud to share because it, in a way, is a culmination of the founding vision of why my parents started this place. So this is a traditional method sparkling wine. Summerhill started as a sparkling wine house because our vineyard, Summerhill Vineyard, is particularly suited for it. It's actually really unique, special conditions, really particular terroir, as we say in the wine industry, that can make a mature wine and has been bottle aged with the yeast inside the bottle for, this one's old. This is 2000 vintage. This is like 18 years or something like that.
Yeah, pretty close to 18 years on the lees. So.
And this is a new release. We released this in February of 2020. What makes it so special is that it has a richness and a creaminess and a mouthfeel that you can only get from aging it. I mean, look at the color of it. It's a beautiful golden color. But it still has this freshness and vibrancy of fruit that's youthful and beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's got that brioche, it's got that yeast, those autolytic notes, but there's still this like bright lemon and bright lime and citrus to it. And it tastes young and fresh and bright. It still has a lot of those beautiful age characters. It's a really cool wine. Like there really aren't many places in the world where you can make something so beautiful.
Yeah, it's exceptional. This is traditional cuvée. It's an homage to Champagne, to the Champagne region of France, where they make sparkling wine out of Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier.
Yeah, about 60% Pinot Noir, 38 Chard, and 2% Meunier.
And these are grapes that my dad planted in the late 1980s. And this style of wine, this mature bottle-aged sparkling, is something we started right away. Our first vintage was 1991, and we didn't release the traditional cuvée from 1991 until 1999. The very first wine that we made, we mature bottle-aged for 8 years and released it to celebrate the millennium. Michael, what's the process like of trying to determine when a wine like this is ready to release?
So we know that these wines are going to be long-lived, and when we make them, we set out for them to age for a long time. So we let them sit for 5, 6, 7, 8 years sometimes. Once we've decided that we want to start tasting them, we go down to the cellar every 6 months, every year, depending on how the last tasting went. And we taste through them. We see where they're at, pull off the crown cap. We taste them when they're still full of yeast and we haven't riddled them. And we just kind of look for a balance, and we see where the autolytic notes are at, where the fruit flavors are at. With this one in particular, it got to this point where we knew it was getting close. And then when we disgorged it last time and we tasted it, there was just something about it, that there was a freshness and a brightness and a balance to it. And it spoke to us that now was time, that after almost 18 years in the bottle, and almost 2 decades since primary fermentation, it was ready to go.
And so then the process is we're going to get the yeast out of the bottle, so it's a clear bottle, and then we add a little bit of dosage, which is typically a fresh, young wine that's sweet to balance the acidity in these old, dry, mature wines. Also, interestingly enough, that the sugar in the dosage interacts with the enzymes that are created from the process of the yeast in the bottle for all those years, and that creates that rich baked goods character post-disgorgement, right? I'm really proud of what the dosage ended up being.
With wines like this, we never really know what's going to work, so we tried everything. And interestingly enough, the original cuvée was what we decided to go with. And we kept it nice and dry at 6 grams of residual sugar. We wanted just to kind of balance things out a little bit, but we wanted to keep it as pure and as fresh and as true to what the cuvée is as absolutely possible. I think it took us about 8 or 9 months of trials and leaving it, and then we do another trial and leave it for another couple months. So we really had to learn patience while making this wine. As a winemaker, it's really cool to work with bubbles that are this old. There are very few places on the planet you can do it. It really was an honor to get to play with something so old and then drink it.
And we actually previewed it for a really well-known person in the wine world whose name is Steven Spurrier. And a lot of people know him from the film Bottle Shock. He was played by Alan Rickman in that film. And he is a true gentleman and scholar. And we were honored to welcome him here in February or something like that, or January. And we had a private tasting with him, Michael and I. And this was the last wine we poured for him. He's been at this a long time. He doesn't pull punches. He's very honest and very straightforward. And he took a sip of the wine and he's writing notes. And I'll never forget, he muttered, he said, "This is a really, really good wine." Usually when you quote somebody, when you quote a wine writer, it's usually because they publish it, right? And then you use the quote that they published. And I said, it was such a nice statement, such a nice thing to say. I said, "Stephen, may I quote you, please? May I say this is a really, really good wine, Steven Spurrier?" And he said, "Yes, you can. And I'll read you the note that I've written." And I wish I had taken a picture of his actual tasting note, but I didn't. And he read, it was very, well made and da-da-da-da-da. And he said, and I gave it 18.5 out of 20, which translates to 95 out of 100.